Hi guys, and welcome back to another Premier League video. Now, we're moving into round 11. Quick recap on round 10. I got one score correct, which was Chelsea beating Newcastle 3-0. Hopefully we can get some more scores right here. So let's see what I've predicted. And starting off with Southampton versus Aston Villa. Now Southampton, they're unbeaten in 3, and their last game was a 1-0 victory over Watford. Villa, they've lost 4 in a row, and they're really struggling at the moment. The last game was a 4-1 loss to West Ham, and Villa were out of it in that game. For this, I still don't think that Southampton are going to put 2 past Villa. And in the 4 games that Villa have lost, they've scored in all of them. So I'm going to go for a 1-1. Now, moving on to Saturday's early kickoff, and it's a very big one. It's the Manchester derby, Man United versus Man City, and this is a very interesting game. Man United, they beat Spurs 3-0 in the league, and they were very good in that game, but Ronaldo and Cavani, they ran the show, and they were very good in attack. In the week, they played Atalanta in the Champions League, and Ronaldo saved them, as he has in pretty much every Champions League game. Scored 2 goals, 2 brilliant goals, and the last one was in injury time just to get that point, which was vital for them in their Champions League campaign. Man City, their last league game, they lost 2-0 to Palace, and it was a big shock, but I feel like it may have been coming because City, they don't have a recognised striker really. They've got Jesus. They don't tend to play him all the time. They needed a striker in the summer. They spent that money on Jack Grealish. And they then go and lose to Palace because they don't have the cutting edge in some games. They need a striker who's just going to be able to get them a goal every game, like a Ronaldo, someone who can come in when they're struggling in a game, when they're behind, and just snatch something for them. And they don't have it. So when they go behind, they do struggle in games like that. Now, it's difficult because City then went on to beat Bruges 4-1 in the Champions League, with Cancelo having a brilliant game and getting 3 assists. I don't know how to call this. Sometimes I'm saying in my head, City will win this about 4-0 and Solskjaer will get sacked. Then I'm thinking, hang on, it's Solskjaer and he's under a lot of pressure. This is the sort of game that he'd somehow win. So I've went down the middle and I've settled on a draw. But there's going to be goals in it, I think. Especially with Ronaldo and Cavani seeming to be the only players who want Solskjaer still in that job. No one else is really performing for them. So, 2-2. On to Brentford versus Norwich. 2 newly promoted teams having 2 very opposite seasons. Now Brentford, they did start really well. They've now lost 3 games in a row, which will be a little bit of a concern. I don't think it's too much, as 2 of those losses were against very good teams, Leicester and Chelsea. Now, the 3rd loss is the interesting one, because it was last week, 3-1 against Burnley, who hadn't won a game yet. So that is a bit of a concern for Brentford, but I think they'll be fine. And they're playing Norwich here, so if they are going to be fine, then they'll win this game. Norwich, obviously, they're on 2 points, bottom of the league, haven't won a game yet, and their record is 2 draws, which were both 0-0, and 8 losses. So they are already looking like they're going to be heading straight back down to the Championship, as they tend to do. For this, I think Norwich have been getting a little bit better, just in their overall play. They did lose 2-1 to Leeds last time, but they got a goal and they played alright in that match. So for this, I think they'll score, but Brentford to have too much quality. Brentford to win 3-1. On to Chelsea versus Burnley now. And Chelsea, they've won 4 games in a row. They're top of the league. And within the first 10 games, they've only conceded 3 goals, which is crazy considering they've played Man City and Liverpool in that time. So they conceded in both of those games 1 goal. So they've only conceded 1 goal in their other 8 games. So they are very strong defensively. Burnley, they picked up their first win of the season with a 3-1 win over Brentford in the last round of fixtures. I think Chelsea are going to have too much for them, as you'd expect. However, Maxwell Cornet for Burnley has been brilliant since he's signed. He's very creative. He's been scoring quite a few goals. So I actually fancy Burnley to get a goal in this one. Chelsea still to win it though, 3-1. On to Palace versus Wolves, and this for me is going to be a very good game. Now Palace, they're unbeaten in 5. They had 4 draws and then they beat Man City 2-0 in their last game. Their record so far is 2 wins, 6 draws and 2 losses. So heavily favours the draws with Palace, as they've drawn the most games in the Premier League so far. Wolves also unbeaten in 5, but their record is 1-4, drew 1. So on form, they're a lot better. Their last game was a 2-1 victory against Everton, and they were very good. I watched the first half of that, didn't catch the second, but in the first half, they could have been about 4-5 up, because Wolves were very good in that game, and they have been in all the games in their streak. Now for this, I think it's very tight, could go either way, and you'd think, well, Wolves have got better form, they've won 4 of their 5, Palace have only won 1 of their 5, but Palace, they are very good and they're very unlucky, and I think that this is going to be a draw, to be honest. It could go either way, but high scoring draw, 2-2. Brighton versus Newcastle now, and Brighton, they were very good last week, 2-0 down against Liverpool at Anfield, managed to pick up a 2-2 draw. Great result for them, hopefully it can get them back on track. Newcastle, they are not on track at all, still haven't won a game, and they're really struggling. As of recording, there are rumours that Eddie Howe has been offered a contract and he's just considering whether to take it. I'm sure that will go through by the time this video is out, but has he got enough time in this before this game to sort of get the players into a system? I'm not sure. He might not have even signed it before this game, to be honest. So for this, I'm going to go low scoring, Brighton to win, 1-0. Arsenal versus Watford next, in the first game on Sunday. And Arsenal are in very good form. They've seen themselves shoot up the table. Since those 3 losses at the start of the season, they've then went on a 7-game unbeaten run. And they've won their last 2 in that. So they've won 5, drew 2. And they're just playing some great football recently. They beat Leicester 2-0 last week. And again, they played really well. They get their goals in early in a lot of games. Most in the first half. And then they just see the game out. Very good. Smith Rowe has been probably their outstanding attacking player so far this season. And Aaron Ramsdale in goal. And the whole defence really have been so good. But Ramsdale seems to make world-class saves every week. So I'm really looking forward to see him in the England setup sometime soon, as potentially taking over Pickford as the number 1. Now, their opponents aren't doing so well. Watford, they are very weird since Ranieri came in. They lost 5-0 to Liverpool. Fair enough, it's Liverpool. Then they beat Everton 5-2. And you sort of think, okay, they're going to start picking it up here. And then they lose 1-0 to Southampton. So, can't really get a read on them at the moment. But I don't think it matters, because Arsenal should win this game quite comfortably. So, Arsenal to win, 2-0. Everton versus Spurs next. And Everton, They've lost 2 games in a row, and they're really struggling without Calvert-Lewin. They're not looking very good at all. Spurs, they've lost 2 in a row as well. They obviously lost 3-0 to Man United. Then Nuno got sacked, even though in September he won Manager of the Month. Then after the last game in October, he's gone. It seems quite reactionary. I know Spurs fans weren't too happy, which, if you lose trust of the fans, I can sort of see why he had to go. I think it is a bit early, as they're still sitting in a decent position in the table. They didn't really give him any time, but again, he seems to lose the faith of the fans, and that tends to speak volumes. They've somehow managed, and I have no idea how, to get Antonio Conte in, who, as you'll know, was brilliant with Chelsea, won the league. Inter Milan, won the league. And he is just a serial winner. And it's so good to have a manager like him join the league when there's Guardiola, there's Klopp, there's Tuchel. And then, it's just crazy to see so many good managers in the Premier League at the same time. So I'm looking forward to see how he gets on in this game. I'm sure that he'll win, as it's Antonio Conte and that's what he does. And it's good that his first game is against a team that is struggling, because it should help him out if he doesn't have enough time to get his tactics in place. But I think it'll be comfortable. 3-0 Tottenham. Leeds versus Leicester now. And Leeds, they beat Norwich 2-0, but they still don't look great. If you're playing a team that's in such bad form as Norwich, you need to make your win look convincing. And they didn't really do it for me. So I think they are going to continue to struggle. They're playing Leicester, who lost their last game 2-0 to a very good Arsenal side. And although Leeds won, Leicester lost, I think Leicester are going to win this one. So I think it'll be tight, but Leicester, just to edge it with their quality, 2-1. And finally, onto a game I am really looking forward to. It's West Ham versus Liverpool. Now West Ham, they've won 2 games in a row. Their latest was 4-1 against Villa, and they look so comfortable. Declan Rice played brilliantly in that game, having a hand in both the first goals, and it just really set them up for the rest of the game. And they play such good football. They're attacking, they press very, very quickly. They're strong. They get the ball up to Antonio and he holds it up and plays other people in and links the play. And it's just so good to watch. And I love it when teams that aren't expected to do very well end up outperforming and shocking everyone. Liverpool, they are obviously still unbeaten. They drew 2-2 with Brighton in their last Premier League game, but they're sitting second in the league, 3 points off Chelsea. West Ham are sitting 4th in the league, 20 points, which is joint with Man City, which is very good. And Man U and Arsenal are in 5th and 6th, and they're both 3 points behind West Ham. So if West Ham do lose this game, they'll still more than likely be in 4th spot. For this, I'm going to play a wild card, which is something I haven't done for a while. And I don't know what it is. Liverpool, they have scored 2 goals in at least their last 10 fixtures in all competitions. They always get 2. I'm going to go for it. I think with how Liverpool's defence can be sometimes, especially like against Brighton, and the way this West Ham team play, pressing highly, I think they're going to get something out of this. And I think Liverpool's unbeaten record is going to be over. I'm going to go West Ham to win 3-2. So that's it. Those are my predictions for this week's fixtures. Let me know in the comments what you agree with, what you disagree with, and put your predictions down in the comments. There's some really good games here. West Ham, Liverpool, Man U, Man City. They're the biggest two. Focus on them in the comments. What do you think is going to happen? Are there going to be any shocks this week? Let me know. Please like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more Premier League content.